Guys, what is up guys? Ignore the music in my background, it's my sister. She loves listening to music, so just ignore that. But anyway, since I watched Captain Marvel once again, I decided to rank all 21 movies in the MCU, including Captain Marvel, from worst to best. This is my first ranking video, guys. And by the way, yes, I'm not using my camera once again. And once again, my camera is dying. I think I just have so many video plans to do. My camera just goes flat really easy. So I'm filming on my iPhone right now. So if you see the difference with the camera quality, I'm really sorry, guys. But still, the video must go on. So these are my rankings of the MCU movies from worst all the way to the best. This will be a bit of a long video, so look forward to that. Like, have popcorn and all that stuff and just watch my rankings of the MCU movies. But also, comment below, what are your rankings of the MCU movies, including Captain Marvel? Like, from worst to best. Like, literally, tell me in the comments below. Just explain your own opinion. That's completely fine. This is just my opinion. These are all the movies that I at least enjoyed, all the way to like good movies, all the way to great movies. And yeah, this is my first ranking video, so I'm really excited to do this. And starting out with the MCU, I'm excited because the MCU is probably the most fun movies I had in theaters like in my life. I'm glad the MCU have existed because most of the movies now in the MCU from now gets better and better and better to down a bit and better and better and better. So the MCU is very mixed with great movies and bad movies. But anyway, let's get started ranking all my MCU movies from worst to best. Here we go. So starting off on the bottom on 21 goes to For the Dark World. Now For the Dark World is a movie that I was literally really excited for when I was 13 because I did like the first four when I was young. And literally, this movie disappointed me. I was literally bored during this movie when I was 13 years old. Like, I was 13. I was a big comic book fan. And this movie really bored me. And yeah, this movie still from this day is boring. This movie is just so many plots, like all over the place. Like there's so many developments and unnecessary death scenes and all that stuff. The villain in this movie is completely horrible. The way Alan Taylor utilized this villain was very unnecessary. It feels like he doesn't even need to be in this movie. Honestly, Thor and Natalie Portman's chemistry I never liked in the MCU. It just bothers me. And also, the only good thing about this movie is the chemistry between Thor and Loki. I thought that development was really freaking well handled. But I think For the Dark World is definitely one of the most messiest MCU movies. It has so many things happening. It was boring. The action scenes weren't even that exciting. And it definitely is one of the most forgettable movies in the MCU. So all the way to now 20 goes to Iron Man 2. Now another movie that I was very excited for. I was 10 years old because I loved the first Iron Man movie. I went to watch Iron Man 2 in the theater, and same with For the Dark World. I was literally bored during Iron Man 2. When I watched it now, I wasn't bored, but I was literally like dizzy after I watched this movie. Not because the action scenes look dizzy, it's just the story is all over the place, just like For the Dark World is. But at least this movie has some pretty good action scenes. That's why I think it's better up with For the Dark World. Like the Formula 1 action scene between Iron Man and Whiplash was really fun to watch. Even the final battle between Iron Man and War Machine and Whiplash, another fun thing to watch. But Whiplash as a villain was very unutilized, very unnecessary. Like at the start, they did a really good job with his origin, and then the movie he just goes, "Give me my bud, give me my bud." Really, dude? Like literally, this movie is very mixy. Like it's so over the place. None of plot storylines all over the place. This movie was literally boring a little bit, and it just wasn't the greatest MCU movie, and it's definitely down with For the Dark World. Now, coming into my number 19 is The Incredible Hulk. Definitely 100% to me, forgettable. Incredible Hulk has some good scenes. I rewatched this movie recently because I haven't seen this movie in a completely long time. It does have some fun action scenes, but literally the CGI of the Hulk doesn't look great to me. I just thought he looked completely looking like he's in a video game or something like that. You can dislike the comments. I just don't like the look of the Hulk in this movie. Even the colors, like he doesn't look like he's green, doesn't he? He looks grayish green. I don't know, but there were some really fun action scenes. The Abomination fight was really fun to watch, like even still till this day. Edward Norton did a really good job as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and the way they explained his origin story was really good as well. In the opening scene, I liked how they did that. And a lot of people are like, this is a sequel to Ang Lee's Hulk, and I'm like, no freaking way. This is in the MCU. It's a completely different movie. But the other characters in this movie were really not good in the movie. Like Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, I didn't like her at all. I thought she was annoying in this movie. William Hurt, I didn't like him either in this movie. I just thought he was fine. Even Tim Roth was like fine, and him and Abomination, fine. Like, this whole movie was fine. It had some really entertaining action scenes, but the story is just not as well written as I wanted it to be. So, sorry, Incredible Hulk, you're there. Coming into my number 18 goes to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. To me, the most disappointing movie in the MCU. I was very excited for this movie. I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm going to mention more in the ranking. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I was mostly excited for. It's my number one most anticipated movie of 2017, and it definitely lets me down. Another movie with a lot of elements. It took place in actually one location, like there were some side locations, but most of the part, it took place in Ego, the Living Planet, and I was literally not, like, as invested in the planet as I wanted it to be. The characters were still the Guardians of the Galaxy that we know and love, and they're still fantastic in this movie. Kurt Russell actually did a pretty good job in the movie. I did enjoy his performance, but him, when he turns into a villain, that's when it goes down flaw for me. But still, this movie was just okay. It had some fun parts. It had some humor. Actually, this movie wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be. There's only a couple parts that are funny, and Baby Groot was really adorable in this film. That's the thing that kept me, like, invested in the film. Actually, the scene with Rocket, Yondu, which is also the best part of the movie, and Baby Groot, that's probably my favorite part in this entire movie. Like, I didn't even care for Star-Lord's chemistry with his dad, and that's very, very disappointing because, you know, Star-Lord's a very compelling character. Like, even though he's very wacky in the first one, he has to get serious as well because he's a very serious character as well, and I just don't buy their chemistry. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is definitely my most disappointing movie in the MCU, and definitely in my ranking. Coming into my number 17 goes to Ant-Man and the Wasp. Another letdown-ish, disappointing MCU film, but at least this movie has fun elements like the first Ant-Man did. It had some pretty fine action scenes. The chemistry between Paul Rudd and Eugene Levy as the Wasp was really great. I enjoyed their chemistry. Michael Douglas was really good in the movie also. But there are a lot of miscastings in this film as well that felt very unnecessary. For example, Ghost in the movie, I think that's her name. I didn't like her as a villain. Like, even though there's, like, a past that you do feel bad for her, that's the only thing I really care for her. Her as a villain, she wasn't that compelling. Lawrence Fishburne in the movie feels very unused. Like, he's just in the film for, like, a couple of scenes. Like, I know he's not the main character, but at least give him more development. And in this film, you don't really care. And also, there's so many subplots in this film as well, like people trying to take over, you know, Michael Douglas's lab, and I'm really, like, let down by that. It's like, there's so many stories all over the place, and this movie wasn't as funny as I wanted, especially Michael Pena. I wasn't laughing at him at all, and I laughed at him in the first Ant-Man movie. Like, those MCU movies right now were the most disappointing and letdown ones. Ant-Man and the Wasp isn't a bad movie. It's still a fun, good time. I still recommend you to watch it, but still, it's a movie that it just needs to be fixed. Coming into my number 16 goes to Thor, the first Thor movie. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of the character of Thor. I just thought he is fine as a character, but in a movie like this, I was literally thinking it is better than Thor: The Dark World and other MCU movies down there. The action scenes were freaking a lot of fun, especially the freaking, like, I forgot that planet's called when they're fighting in that planet. That was a lot of fun. Even the final scene with Thor and Loki battling, that was also a lot of fun to watch. And this movie was really funny. It's still funny till this day. I watched this movie, like, recently for Thor Ragnarok, and it is still really, really funny. But the biggest problem with this movie is its execution and its world building of Thor. Like, literally, Asgard, where Thor lives, wasn't even much in the movie, and I was very more invested in the world of Asgard. Actually, the first, like, 20 to 30 minutes was really good. I love the world of Asgard, how they introduced it. But then the whole movie took place on Earth with Natalie Portman, and once again, I didn't like their chemistry. I just thought it's okay in the movie. Tom Hiddleston as Loki, when we introduced him in this film, he was really great in this film. Anthony Hopkins was also really great in the film. Kate Dunning's in the film, freaking annoys me in the film. She doesn't shut up in this film. She's definitely the most annoying character in the MCU, I could say that. But since this movie took place more on Earth, it didn't get me more interested in this movie. There were some parts in this movie that I enjoyed him on Earth, especially when he tries to grab the hammer. That was a very deep scene. But still, this movie is just bland. It had some great moments. It had some great action. But it is still a fun movie, but it still needs to be fixed a little bit more. Now, coming into my number 15 is Captain Marvel. I recently saw Captain Marvel once again, and I still enjoyed the movie. Like, a lot of people were hating it so much. I can see why people hate this movie in a lot of scenes, and there were some parts that I really didn't like. I'm not going to spoil it to you guys if you guys haven't seen Captain Marvel, but there were some really, really dumb moments in the film, especially when Nick Fury, how he got his, like, eye patch. I thought that was, like, how to develop that is really stupid. It makes Nick Fury kind of like a joke as a character with his origin, and it really disappointed me at that. The villain in the movie was okay. The way he's developed, he wasn't that great. The first half of the movie, I was literally not invested the first time I saw it, but then when I saw it again, I'm like, I'm starting to get it, like, where this film is going. But the first time I saw the first act, that got me put it into the, like, the 15th spot, because this movie got confusing, and the first act, like, was not acted that well, but when the second act comes in, the movie starts to get good. I really enjoyed Captain Marvel overall. Brie Larson did a really great job for the most part as Captain Marvel. I can't wait to see her in Endgame. Also, Samuel L. Jackson's young Nick Fury also did a great job in the film. I really enjoyed his character as well. Great development between them two, great chemistry, and the cat stole this entire movie. Everyone said it, and it's true. The cat was badass and awesome in the film, and you need to check this movie out. It's still a great time to watch in the theaters. Now, coming in my number 14 is Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, Avengers Age of Ultron, definitely out of the trilogy, is my least favorite Avengers movie in the MCU. This movie is still good. It's a fun movie, had some good action scenes. The Hulkbuster versus the Hulk was definitely my favorite scene in this entire movie. It's still a lot of fun. It's hilarious, but it also really messed up in a couple of scenes. I was really like, oh my god, they really need to do that? But there were some parts in Avengers Age of Ultron I feel like they just played out dumb in the film. I didn't like Quicksilver at all, even though I did like Scarlet Witch in the film, but Quicksilver, I didn't like him in the film, and his death just feels very unnecessary. Like, I just want to see him more in the MCU, see what he can do. Literally, I want to see him fight Thanos. Like, what could happen? But, you know, he died in the movie, and he turned out to be one of the most forgettable characters in the MCU. This movie was just okay, like, with its storyline, but it's not the greatest Avengers film. Like, how it's written, there were some pretty dumb decisions that the Avengers did in the movie. Like, especially when Tony Stark and Bruce Banner made Ultron. Like, I was literally like, what could happen? There's always going to be side effects with his character. I know what they're trying to do, but literally, they knew what this will happen. They all knew what happens, like, when they made Ultron. But still, Avengers Age of Ultron is still a fun movie. Great action scenes, and you know what? It's still a fun time at the movies. Coming into my number 13 goes to Captain America, the First Avenger. Definitely with the Avengers lead up, like, you know, with the Avengers lead up, including Thor and Captain America. Iron Man, I see Iron Man doesn't really count because Iron Man's the one that started this whole universe, so if that wouldn't count for me. But, you know, the Incredible Hulk, Thor, and Captain America, the First Avenger, I think this is definitely my favorite Avengers setups to that universe. I think this movie, how they handle Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans, which he did a great job in. It's one of the most iconic roles. And may I forget about Johnny Storm in this shitty Fantastic Four movies. Literally, the origin story, how they did with Steve Rogers was really great. Actually, the first half of this movie was really good. Even, like, most of the movie was really good. Like, I like how they slow it down before he becomes Captain America. We get to know about Steve Rogers, like how brave his character is, and all that stuff, etc., etc., But I really also love Red Skull, played by Hugo Weaving. I think he's very unappreciated as a villain. I thought he's a pretty great villain, and Hugo Weaving's, like, great at everything. Also, Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter was also really great. She's definitely my favorite love interest in the MCU, definitely, because, you know, she's not just, like, the damsel in distress like every other movie. She's actually tough as well, so basically, sometimes people like tough women in the film. The action scenes were still really great in the film, especially the final act between Captain America and Red Skull. I really like final battles of the movie. I don't know why, I just like watching it. This final battle was a lot of fun. I actually recently watched this movie. Again, I had to recently watch a lot of MCU movies leading up to Captain Marvel so I can get all the MCU stuff in my hand and other MCU films. But what I remember is that the action scenes were still a lot of fun in this movie. And Captain America the First Avenger is definitely my favorite origin story for the Avengers setup, but not in the MCU though. Coming in my number 12 goes to Iron Man 3. Now, a lot of people didn't like Iron Man 3 as much, but I honestly didn't know why. Actually, Iron Man 3 came on TV last weekend and I watched the movie, and I would say, this movie is definitely the funniest movie in the MCU, with another movie that I'm going to mention on my rankings. Iron Man 3 was completely hilarious, especially with the parts that with the flaws of the movie. The humor does fix that a little bit more. I like that this movie doesn't focus on Iron Man that much. It focuses more on Tony Stark, which I absolutely love, because even though I love the first Iron Man as well, with him introducing as Tony Stark, both of these two films are really great at developing Tony Stark. Yeah, Iron Man 2, not so much. But Iron Man 3 just brings it back, and I think Shane Black is a great pick of directing Iron Man 3. The only thing I really didn't like about this movie is the Mandarin, how they handled the Mandarin. Like, Ben Kingsley, he's not the Mandarin, he's an actor. And I was literally like, even when I was 14 when I watched this movie, I was like, huh? He was so menacing, though. That's the only thing I was like, why did you do that in the movie? But overall, this movie is a lot of fun. It does have a great action scene still. Tony Stark, how to develop his character was really great in the film. And also, it is a really good fun time. Now, coming into my number 11 goes to Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, Spider-Man Homecoming, to me, is the best Spider-Man film in recent years, with Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming. A lot of people didn't like Spider-Man Homecoming either. I was really like, this movie is different. It doesn't tell us the Uncle Ben story. Actually, Uncle Ben wasn't even mentioned in this movie. Only like once, but it's like a teeny bit once. This movie is a completely different Spider-Man film until Into the Spider-Verse comes out. But like before that, this was a different film. And I really love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I think it's definitely, with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, the best portrayals in the MCU. I think Tom Holland is a great pick to play Spider-Man, because in this movie, the reason why I like Spider-Man Homecoming a little bit more than the Sam Raimi's, and especially Andrew Garfield, is that he's a kid. Like, in the movie, it's an actual, like, young guy playing Spider-Man. Like, Tobey Maguire was, like, 25 when the original Spider-Man came out, and Andrew Garfield was, like, almost 30, and I was literally like, I don't feel like he's a kid at all. This movie, you felt like he's a kid, and Tom Holland did a great job. But also, Michael Keaton as the Vulture was really great in the film as a villain, especially the twist with his character that he is Peter Parker's love interest's father, which I was literally not expecting at all, and it took for a really good final act. I like that this story goes for a different direction with a Spider-Man movie, and I think they did a really great job developing that, and I still can't wait to see Spider-Man Far From Home, even though I still like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse better than every other Spider-Man film out there, but still, Spider-Man Homecoming is still good. Alright, up to my top 10 of the rankings. So on my number 10 goes to Black Panther. Now, Black Panther, I'm actually glad it won a lot of awards, because I think they do deserve it. If it did win Best Picture, I would have been like, thumbs down on it. I'm like, there's so many movies that's better than Black Panther, but I could say Black Panther is my favorite, like, MCU solo films, with the first Iron Man, which I'm going to mention later. This movie was fantastic. I love the look of this movie. The look of this movie looked absolutely spectacular. Look at Wakanda. I said Wakanda in my review. That's very awkward. But Wakanda looks amazing in this film. And I like that this film is very different to any other MCU films. This is not technically a superhero movie. It definitely isn't. Like Black Panther doing action scenes, you don't see him like saving people. You see him just getting somebody. This movie's about T'Challa. And I think the way they constructed T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, which is fantastic in the film, they did a really great job developing his character, and they did a really great job developing him. Also, Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, one of my favorite villains with Thanos in the MCU. His development was so fantastic in the film. The action scenes were fantastic, but I also like the dialogue, the story, where it's going. It's definitely Marvel's version of The Lion King, and that's probably why I appreciate this movie more, because it gives me facts why I love The Lion King so much, but it also gives me facts why I love the MCU so much. I'm glad that Black Panther goes for a different direction than any other MCU solo movies, and they did a really great job of that. So coming into my number 9 goes to Thor Ragnarok. I think it's definitely the best Thor movie out of the trilogy, and definitely the best Thor movie in general. This movie was a lot of fun. The action looks great. The look of this movie looks fantastic. Chris Hemsworth, one of the best Thor performances that I've seen in the movie. This is definitely, with Iron Man 3, the funniest out of the MCU movies. This movie was hilarious. Literally, I just couldn't stop laughing throughout this whole entire film. I was literally laughing my ass off through most of the time in this film. Tessa Thompson was also fantastic in this film. She was a lot of fun. But Mark Ruffalo as a Hulk, which I never mentioned in this ranking, is the best Hulk. I think Mark Ruffalo is the best Hulk, in my personal opinion. A lot of people say Edward Norton's a better Hulk. I disagree. Mark Ruffalo did a really great job as a Hulk, even though he does spoil movies a lot. lately. Like, I didn't even see the Jimmy Fallon lie detector test because I'm worried he's going to spoil stuff for Endgame. I'm really worried about that. But still, Thor Ragnarok's a lot of fun. Kate Blanchett as the villain, I forgot to mention, was really great as well. This whole movie was just knows what it is. It's not trying to be dark like the other MCU movies. This movie is a lot of fun. It has some fantastic scenes. Taika Waititi is a great job depicting this film. Even his character in the film was hilarious, and I think Taika Waititi is a great pick to direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but James Gunn is returning, which I'm excited, but then I'm worried because he directed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Coming into my number 8 goes to Ant-Man. Now, I literally wasn't excited for this film at first. I was literally watching the trailers of the movie, and I'm like, this movie looks okay. But this movie was definitely on my top 10 because this movie is a lot of fun. Same with Thor Ragnarok. It knows what it is. It's not trying to be dark like any other studio films. This film is a lot of fun as well. Especially when you see the scenes where Ant-Man is small. It looks fantastic. You feel like that he is small in most of the time in this movie. The thing I was worried about Ant-Man the most is Paul Rudd's performance. Like, I was literally like, really? Paul Rudd? Really? But Paul Rudd did a really great job as Ant-Man. I can't wait to see him in Endgame as well. But I think Paul Rudd did a really great job as Ant-Man. The only complaints I have is the villain, but the villain's like, the way they're written, the villain was fine, but just the performance by the villain is the thing I hate the most. But that's not the thing I'm like, literally concerned about this movie. The action scenes were fantastic in the film. This whole movie was just a really fun, good time. It's a good popcorn movie, and it's definitely the funnest out of the MCU movies by far in the ranking video, so that's why I'm putting Ant-Man in my top 10, because you know what? It's the most fun I have with the MCU films, with some other films that are on my list. My god, I'm sweating. It's actually a pretty hot day today, so hope you don't see me suffer. So coming into my number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, I was literally, do not know who Guardians of the Galaxy is before this movie came out. I was like, literally, who the hell are they? And then when I watched the trailers, I'm like, okay, we get to introduce them. That's very interesting. And now we got the movie, and I knew every single Guardians of the Galaxy member I can think of. Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax the Destroyer, Rocket Raccoon, Groot. Like, I knew every single character in this entire film. This film, with Ant-Man, is definitely 100% the most funnest MCU films that I've ever freaking seen. This movie was just fantastic from beginning to the end. This movie was just a really fun 80s type of movie, you know what I mean? Like, it's a movie that you just had to enjoy it for what it is from its time lapse. Chris Pratt did a really great job as Star-Lord, and he is definitely born to play this role. Zoe Zendara as Gamora was great. Dave Bautista as Drax the Destroyer was fantastic in this movie. That's definitely his best role in the film. Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon was complete badass in this film. He's just so awesome in the whole entire movie. And also, even like Vin Diesel as Groot was great in the film as well. Even though he has a couple of lines saying, I'm Groot, you still get invested in Groot's character. This movie has a really fun action scene. This is a movie that's like mixing Star Wars and Star Trek. They put them all together and made a damn fun film out of it. Coming into my number 6 goes to Doctor Strange. This is definitely the most greatest looking MCU films ever. The visual effects look absolutely stunning in this entire film. Like, it looks like Marvel's version of Inception. That's how great the visual effects is. This is definitely my favorite visual MCU films that I've ever seen. Benedict Cumberbatch was great in the film. I was literally thinking to myself, I think Benedict Cumberbatch would be great for Doctor Strange. He would be a great pick, and I can't believe he played Doctor Strange, and he did a really great job in this film. Holy shit, I really enjoyed his performance in the film. Also, Tinda something, I forgot her last name, she was also really great in the film. The guy's gonna play Scar in the new Lion King, I forgot his name as well, he's also really great in the film. This film was also funny, but also very, very dark in some scenes. Like, literally, you do feel bad for Benedict Cumberbatch throughout this whole movie where he just can't control his hands, and most of the time in this movie, you do feel bad. Rachel McAdams also did a really great job as his love interest. I was sort of thinking, is she going to be underused? Which she is, but at least her performance is very enjoyable to watch. I think the villain was okay in this film. He wasn't as bad as people were saying. I thought the villain did a pretty good job in the film. This whole film is basically, you gotta watch it for the visuals, because the visuals in this movie are absolutely spectacular. Even though The Jungle Book is better in this movie with the visuals, and I'm glad that movie won, it's still a visual experience, and I still recommend you go see Doctor Strange as a film as well in general. Coming on my number 5 is Captain America the Winter Soldier. This is definitely the most different out of the MCU movies with Black Panther. This is not a superhero film. This is a spy espionage film. And definitely this is so far in the ranking the best character development of Captain America that I've ever freaking seen in the film. The action scene, this is when like the Russo brothers get more credit to make more MCU films, because I think that the Russo brothers did a really great job of developing the characters in this movie. Like, the characters were very well developed in the film. I think everyone did a really great job in this film. Chris Evans, definitely my favorite performance by him by far. He did a great job as Captain America in this film. The Winter Soldier, played by Sebastian Stan, who was in Captain America the First Avenger, did a great job in the film. I think this is also my favorite Winter Soldier performances out of this film. The action was just bloody amazing. It looks fantastic. It's not dizziness. They use a couple shaky cams, but you just see it. Like, you don't like get dizzy from it. And I like that Captain America the Winter Soldier takes like the spy espionage type plotline, and I think that's what made this film more relatable and more freaking amazing. Because, you know, Captain America is all about politics, so there's a lot of politic elements in this film, and it did a really great job developing that. And I think, still to this day, Captain America the Winter Soldier is definitely the best solo, like, MCU film with the first Iron Man, so we'll get to that later. Oh, we don't have to, because coming on my number 4 goes to Iron Man. Definitely the movie that started it all. The movie that started this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Literally, if we haven't got this movie, the MCU wouldn't even exist. That's why I put this in my number 4, like almost my number 1, because this movie was probably my favorite origin story of all time with the Batman movies. I think how they developed Tony Stark in this movie. I like that this movie took very slow. Like, you don't even see Iron Man that much in the film. You only see him in like 3 scenes of the movie. Most of the time you see Tony Stark trying to escape the terrorist's cave and try to become the hero that he mentally is. At first, he's a very spoiled, like, rich guy, and then he got captured by these terrorists, and he has to learn how to be a man. He has to defend himself, and he knows how to make tech, so that makes him more smart. Robert Downey Jr., this is when they put him on the map as Iron Man. He did a great job in this film. Jeff Bridges also did a really great job as Iron Monger. Like, a lot of people were, like, talking about him. I thought they did a really great job with his character. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts was great in the film. Literally everyone did a great job, except for Terrence Howard. I thought he was okay in the film. The action was fantastic, especially the rescue from the terrorist scene. You know what I'm talking about? That scene was bloody amazing. I was literally, as a kid, I was like, this is one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen in my life. And still, when I watch this movie, I'm like, it's still really awesome. Literally, once again, if you haven't got Iron Man, the MCU wouldn't exist. So thank you, Iron Man, for developing, and thank you, Don Favreau, for starting to introduce this whole MCU. Now, coming into my number 3 goes to the Avengers. Literally, the biggest anticipation of the MCU history. With all the movies leading up to this movie, it finally came, and this movie was a big summer blockbuster. It's definitely the biggest superhero movie that I've ever seen, with the budget of a lot of money for this film. I didn't know how much, but I know it's one of the most expensive superhero films that's ever freaking made. This movie was just a lot of freaking fun. All the Avengers coming together, the chemistry was fantastic in the film. The action scene, especially the final act when they're fighting in New York City, was worth watching for this film. And this film introduced Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and he did a great job in this film. Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye was really great in the film. I even forgot to mention that Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow was great in the film, and please get her own movie. Actually, I think she is making her own movie, so freaking finally, this movie is a big summer blockbuster, and it's definitely still a fun movie till this day. But it's not as good as my number 2 with Avengers Infinity War. Definitely my favorite Avengers movie in this entire trilogy so far, hoping that Endgame beats Infinity War, because I think Avengers Infinity War was definitely the most darkest out of the MCU movies. And don't worry, number 1 is going to get more darker. Thanos, played by Josh Brolin. With the end credits of the first Avengers, I got so excited for Thanos to come to the big screen. And finally he did, and he was menacing. He was literally the guy that I would just throw a freaking, like, bottle at him because I hate his character. And that's good, because you're supposed to hate a villain in the movie, and they did a great job of making us hate the villain. The ending, I'm still not going to spoil it, it's one of the most intense. Actually, everyone probably seen the Endgame trailer, so they don't know what happened at the end. Most people die in this movie, and it is very, very emotional. Even the ending, I was literally like, what? No! That is the first ever MCU movie, or superhero movie in general, where the villain actually wins at the end of the movie. That's props to my number 2. This movie is very different, and it's a big movie. All the characters combined with Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man and Black Panther. Everyone did a great job in this film, per se. But my number 1, let's go up to my favorite MCU movie of all freaking time. My number 1 goes to Captain America Civil War. This movie, out of all the MCU films, definitely my favorite. This film was one of the best superhero films to me of all time. I really love this film. This film was fantastic. The whole freaking thing I love about this movie is that it's not a superhero film that much. There's not even saving in this film. Like Black Panther otherwise, but you know, Black Panther is saving his home. This movie, there is no saving at all. It's just battling one and another. The story of this movie is fantastic. The chemistry between Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., great. The airport fight scene is one of my favorite fight scenes in superhero history, with the Dark Knight scenes. Holy shit, the airport scene, I just can't stop watching it. The scene with the airport fight, especially when they introduced Black Panther and Spider-Man, I was literally like, this is a movie, ladies and gentlemen. Even the final act of this movie was fantastic in this movie. The final act was really great as well. But another thing I like about this movie is the story, how they develop it. Like, the Avengers need to be contained and controlled because all the other stuff that they did, they damaged a lot of cities and all that stuff. And that's probably what MCU be in the real world. And they introduced superheroes into the real world. And that's when everyone goes into battle. That is a great story. I even like Zemo. Like, a lot of people didn't like Zemo. I thought he's a very good character, how he developed the, like, scenes of the movie. And Sebastian Stan's Bucky, one of the best Bucky performances I've ever seen. This whole movie was great. I wasn't even bored during this entire movie. Like, they feel like completely different movies. The first half is a politic movie. The second act is all brawling madness. And this whole movie, I was enjoying it. I could watch Captain America Civil War on the desert island so many times. This movie was great. I enjoyed it. Guys, Captain America Civil War is my number 1 ranking of my favorite MCU films. So guys, woo! That was tiring. Oh my god. So guys, that is my ranking of all the MCU movies from worst to best. What are your picks? What are your rankings of the MCU movies? Just let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on Facebook, Stardust, Instagram, Twitter. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, and have a nice day.